Hey everyone, welcome to this Blue Cat Axiom video. Today we're going to try and get as close as we can to the classic instrumental song by The Shadows called Apache. Obviously this is one of the biggest instrumentals, one of the most famous and one of the most commercially successful instrumental songs. So it's a big undertaking, especially given Hank Marvin's, the solo guitar player in The Shadows, godlike status among guitar players. So here's a Strat. We have the Axiom plugin, which allows us to use hundreds of virtual amps and many virtual effects. Let's get to it. That first sound is the rhythm sound that goes on behind what Hank Marvin is playing. The rhythm is played on an acoustic guitar on the original song, and on live performances it was obviously played on an electric guitar. So I tried and make a compromise between the two, keep the wooliness of the acoustic, but a little more attack from the electric. To simulate the acoustic guitar, we're going into the piezo pickup presets using this strumming bright presets. Mid slightly scooped, because the pickup on the acoustic guitar is always scooped. Treble -8, otherwise it's going to get really trebly. We're going to add a little compression on the front end to keep things nice and tidy. Use the limit full preset, since this is probably what they were using in the studio back then, a full-on limiter while recording the acoustic guitars. Then we're gonna add a little EQ after the fact to get even more close to the real thing. Boost the mids slightly around 300. And slightly cut the treble after 2K. And then a slight reverb for a little ambience. And this is going to be vintage plate, because that's probably what they were using back in the studio. Wet 50% and dry 100. That second sound is the classic Hank Marvin solo sound, so lots of reverb and lots of delay, and that classic Vox sound. For Hank Marvin's old sounds, we're going to go into clean, AC clean, fat, drive 3, so virtually no drive coming from the amp, just a little warmth. Bass -5 to simulate the fact that back then electric guitars were recorded without any bass in the sound. Mid +4, treble 0, and tone 40. So quite bright, really. Again, a little compression here will go a long way to getting closer to what you hear on the record, and we're going to use the gentle preset because we don't want to squash the sounds. And we're going to add some echo before the amp which is how it was done back in the days of the recording, when you had the tape echo going into the front end of the amp, which would change the sound drastically compared with adding echo after the fact. So delay around 140, feedback 20%, and mix around 40%. So it's really present. And then we're gonna add some reverb, a lot of reverb actually, because the original sound is really drenched in reverb. Vintage slapback, wet and dried, both at 80%. And as you're gonna hear, the sound is really defined by its reverb. That last sound is the way Hank Marvin approached the song during the Shadows farewell tour. So a little more scooped in the mids, a little fatter sounding, a little more modern overall. So a different approach to the same sound. For that last sound, we're staying with the AC Clean Fat amp. Less drive, because modern Marvin is even clearer. Bass +2, since it has more fat. Mid 0, because it's slightly scooped. Treble +2 to scoop it even further. Tone 0.4 is just fine. Compression again, because you really need a little compression to get the proper Hank Marvin sound. And this time the generic 2.5 preset, which works marvel for that kind of sound. Then a little echo, delay around 200, feedback around 20%, and mix 35%, a little less than on the previous sound. And then the reverb, which is drastically different. This time we're using dark hole with a 70% mix. You're gonna obviously hear it less than the previous reverb, and we're gonna adjust it slightly. So high cut 1.15 only, reflectivity 75%. The length is going to be shortened as well to 3.5 seconds. And here is your modern Marvin. Lastly, here are the three sounds in the context of the song.